What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another Hero Spotlight. Now today I wanted to take a look at our trusty Abyss Lord being used as a waller. Abyss Lord walls have gotten a little bit of negative publicity, I think. Maybe it's just in my opinion, but they're actually quite the badass walls. So let's go ahead and break it down and take a look at each. Now, first off, as with any waller, the main stat you're going to concern yourself with is defense health. So you want to get defense health on every single piece of gear you have. Whatever else is there doesn't really matter as far as the stat goes if you're using it just as a waller. And that is indeed what I'm doing. Now, in addition to that, I like to use the two types of walls that a Abyss Lord can use are either the Skeletal Orc or the Colossus. Now, the Skeletal Orc is something that you'll use a little bit more regularly. There, you can spam as many of them across the map as you can, as long as you have available DU, and they do a pretty darn nice job. And you see we've got the Skeletal Orc health passive. I've got that on every piece of gear. Now, still a little room to go on something like that one is just an awful piece, so I've got a long ways to go. This waller is by no means perfect, but more than capable of getting the job done on any map that we have without any issues at all. Now, you also see the Colossal Health. I've got that on several pieces of gear as well. That I don't actually use, and I'll get into that later, but the Colossus itself is expensive. Although it's a complete beast, you find yourself, it's hard to justify using that many DU on it in a lot of circumstances other than to check it out. So the Colossal Health I do have on other pieces, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. As long as the Skeletal Orc health is there, that's all that I cared about. Now you see you also got the Skeletal Orc health on your Relic. With an addition, you've got another passive called Electric Fingers. Skeletal Orcs have a 30% chance to electrify their target, blah 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 blah. This effect bounces to 3 targets. This is actually a really, really good CDC when used in combination with the Ramster or some geysers, whatever the case is. Anything that's going to soak the opponent will get hit with the lightning damage, which in turn gives you the CC from the stun. Sorry there, lost my train of thought for a second. Anyway, so Skeletal Orc health on all of our pieces that we can, Electric Fingers on the Relic, and on the weapon. Now, a lot of people have asked about the stacking on like the Electric Fingers or the Explosive Arrows passive. And how that works is the chance does not stack. So if I have Electric Fingers on this piece and on this piece, it doesn't stack. I still have a 30% chance to electrify my target. The difference is the damage does stack. So this one's giving me 322%. This one's giving me 339% for a pretty nice little bit of damage to them, with addition as the CC opportunities. So let's take a look at each one of those two. Now here, of course, is the Skeletal Orc. You see in my set of gear, I'll show my stats here real quick. 4,121 defense health, all I'm really concerned about. But with... In fact, let me move these back so they're not attacking here. With my set, I've got a pretty nice wall right there. And you see the area of effect. The range on it is fairly nice as well, with 616,000. Now that costs 40 DU, and of course I can put as many of them down as I want, and I can spray those guys all over the map to cause any sort of choke points I want to. Now, let me clear up a little room here, and our other item is the Colossus. Now, the Colossus is a beast. You see, with my set of gear, 897,000 health. Absolutely stupid insane. Ridiculous. The one benefit you have from using the Colossus is, first off, if you've got the 80 DU to spend and you need a lane blocked with a pretty large area of effect, the Colossus is going to get it done with very few leakage problems. there were originally reports of leakage problems, but I never really saw any myself. So the Colossus can definitely get it done. However, you can only have one of them on the map. Now, if you see down below, next to my number 8 key, which is the Colossus, it costs 0 green mana right now. And that is kind of one of the benefits of the Colossus, is it's an immovable defense. So say I've got a Skeletal Orc on one lane, and a Colossus on another lane, and the Colossus's lane is clear, but my Skeletal Orc goes down, I can easily, with no green mana, run down over to that other side and just redrop that Colossus, instantly spawned, for free. That's pretty awesome. And if you're willing to spend the 80 DU, that is one of the largest benefits of using it. Now let's get back to the Skeletal Orc. Now, one of the things that got the Skeletal Orc a little bit of bad publicity is if you look at, you know, obviously they have massive amounts of health. 616,000 max health. In fact, let me get you one of my Squire walls here. These guys are both in comparable gear. You see, I've got 733 item power on my Squire, 731 on my Walling Abyss Lord. So their gear is pretty comparable. Actually, my Squire's in slightly better gear. And you see my blocks, they're not the beastliest out there, but they are pretty decent. 356,000 health, unupgraded. That's kind of awesome, that's for sure. And only costing 30 DU. Now, the Skeletal Orc, of course, is going to be 40 DU, so that's 10 more. But it's going to give me an additional, what, 260,000-ish additional health. Now, one of the things that got that Skeletal Orc its bad publicity right at the beginning is you see the damage vulnerability. Now, as you upgrade the Skeletal Orc, it will take increased damage. So the Skeletal Orc is going to take more damage than the Spike Blockade. Now, what that number is right now, I cannot find. I'm not sure that it's out there anywhere. Somebody had thrown around the 25% number. I actually think that that is probably a little high. But, so I'm not sure exactly how much vulnerability to damage they have. However, for the increased amount of health, it seems like it's still worth it. If you've got the extra DU to spend and you don't know where to spend them, the Skeletal Orc can definitely get the job done just as well, if not better in some cases, than the Spike Blockade. Now, I use Spike Blockades on the Catacombs Incursion right now, just because of the 30 DU cost, so it's 10 DU less. But I actually feel like the run itself goes a lot more smoothly with no worries about upgrades or repairs if I use the Skeletal Orc. Now, on that same note, if you've got, say, a monk with you, do I have a monk with me? There we go. If you've got a monk with you that throws down a boost aura, let's just go ahead and boost both of those bad boys. That is going to eliminate that damage vulnerability. You see, right now, I've got -1 damage vulnerability. So your damage vulnerability is gone if it's boosted. And of course, with any blockade, if you're going to boost it, the best way to go is going to be to use that boost blockade health sphere and get the additional 25%. See, that brings my Spike Blockades up to 445. It brings the Skeletal Orc up to 770,000, which is pretty insane, with no damage vulnerability. Now, it is important to note as well, if you're the type of person that likes to use direct command, when you're direct commanding your Skeletal Orc, that damage vulnerability will not be there either. So when they're under the effects of direct command, or if they use a boost, they don't have the increased damage vulnerability. Now, when you look at it and you really break it all down, in my opinion, the Abyss Lord actually has a better Waller. It does a little bit more attack damage, although that's not really an issue at all. They're not there for that purpose. But it does just a fantastic job of blocking a pretty good area of effect. And in fact, there's situations where you could use one Skeletal Orc that require either really good placement or 2 Spike Blockades. So that's an additional benefit as well. Now let's hop back on in to the build itself. Now with the Abyss Lord, you've got a little room to play with on just about any character, and the EV2 for that matter, with these skill spheres and what you want to do. The skill spheres I'd like to take are first off the 2 required. These are ones that you definitely want to have, and they're going to take your Abyss Lord walls pretty much to the next level as far as beastliness. And that is, number 1 is Fortitude. Your Skeletal Orc and Colossus have their defense health increased by 15%, but their defense power reduced. So they do a little less damage, but they have more health, and that's just about ideal. Secondly, Fatal Guard. Upon taking fatal damage, your Skeletal Orc becomes imbued with a shield that blocks damage equal to 3,500% of your defense health stat. Wow, that's a pretty nice number, and that shield is going to be, you know, in my case, what, almost 200,000. So it's going to give you a little bit of cushion there to give you some extra time to get on over there. Of course, that lasts 30 seconds, or if until it's destroyed, and you can it only is going to proc once every 60 seconds. Now, your other 2 skill spheres, you can put absolutely whatever you want in there. I use the Abyss Fountain of Speed because I like that movement speed buff. Of course, you should use that on just about any Abyss Lord that you're going to have out. You slap that down and it gives you a little bit, gives you and your allies a little increased speed buff after you run through it. So I use that one. And then I use the Panic Fire Sphere. You know, of course, being a blockade, it's constantly going to be taking damage, so that procs all the time. It speeds up their attacks, you know. Some people have talked about using the Pressure Luck Sphere. The problem is the crit scaling is not very good on the Abyss Lord. So I go with more attacks instead by increasing my defense speed by 100%, which is kind of awesome. And that is how I build it up. And with the set of gear I have, and with the build I'm using, completing any current map in the game is absolutely no problem. You see, I'm not fully upgraded, and I have those weak link gloves, which I definitely need to go fishing for an upgrade for. But a quick and easy way to get it done with the Abyss Lord, using them as a waller. I hope this helps you guys out. I know I've had lots of questions about walls and blockades with the Abyss Lord, and wanted to throw together a little information there. Now, before I end off, I wanted to take a quick look at the stats as well. Basically, you pump it all into health, and you do whatever the hell you want with the rest. Nothing else matters. Now, I like to increase their defense speed and their range. Whether or not that range does anything, I'm not sure. But I like to throw those into there, and then I just put the leftovers into defense power. The only thing that matters is you want to get as much defense health as possible, so by all means, load it up. So that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching. Click that like button, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back soon with another hero spotlight. Let me know in the comments below what type of hero you want to see spotlighted next. See ya!